Welcome to LiveDaf, your online DAF YOMI shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF YOMI, Avodah Zarah Daf Chav. We begin at the Mishnah on Yotei Summit Beis, 4 lines off the bottom. Says the Mishnah, just like we don't manufacture idols for Avodah Zarah, we may not manufacture adornments, jewelry that will be used to adorn, to beautify the Avodah Zarah. We don't make jewelry, for instance, katlois, chains, unezamim ear or nose rings, v'tabois, finger rings. If you're getting paid, you can do it, and of course the Gemara will explain the reason for this. Continues the Mishnah with another halacha. In Eretz Yisrael, one may not transfer property, one may not sell property to a guy, not only the property, but even something which is merely mechuber l'karka, something growing out of the ground like a tree, may not be sold to a guy. But you can sell it to him once it's been cut off the ground. There's no concern that it might lead you to sell while still attached. Rabbi Doimer, just like you can sell detached trees, chopped lumber, you can also sell him a tree while still in the ground, if it's sold on condition that he will be chopping it very soon. And the Tanakh disagrees because it may linger, he might just delay things and end up owning the property in Eretz Yisrael. So how do we know that in fact we may not transfer property or even a tree in the ground to a guy if it is in Eretz Yisrael? Amar Rabbi Yisrael B'Chanina. We have a pasuk in Sefer Dvarim, Damakro. So the pasuk is telling us that Hashem will be giving us the land. Don't make any deals with the goyim. Don't be koros lahem bris. Don't make any pacts with them. V'lo sechanim. What does v'lo sechanim mean? Damakro lo sechanim lo sitein lahem chaniya b'karka. You can't allow them ownership in the karka. You can give them permanence, presence in Eretz Yisrael. So Leisechanim is Lashon Chaniya. They shouldn't have a presence, control over the land. Asks the Gemara, well, this pasuk has already been used for something else and is unavailable to teach us this halacha. Hai Leisechanim, this phrase, miboile, is needed for the following halacha. The pasuk is telling us, Lo yisiten lahem chen. Leisechanim is don't give them grace. Don't praise them. Don't speak of them in a complimentary manner. So it's been used for that and unavailable for this. In Cain, we're only coming to teach us the Isser to praise. Leima Krod, and the pasuk would simply say Leisechunim with a vav, like Vichuneka in Birchas Kainim, give you grace. My Leisechanim. Why does the Torah spell it Leisechanim? To teach us also Shmam Natarti, to teach us both halachas. No praising and no giving them control. Well, Vakati, but still, we have yet a third lesson being taught from the same pasuk. It's needed for the following halacha. The pasuk is telling us, don't give them any gifts. Leisiten hem matnas shel chinam. Some take out the word shel, matnas chinam. You can't give a gift to a guy. If you're expecting something in return, if it's to buy favor, fine. If it's to show appreciation, that's a different story. But a free gift, lo yisechanim. So it's needed for that and unavailable for this. Well, says the Gemara, all three halachas actually can be learned from the same phrase. Imkain, because if it's only telling us no gifting, Leim Akrad, the pasuk would say lo sechinem. Like chinam, right? Lo sechinam. Don't give them anything for free. My lo sechanim. Why is it read lo sechanim? To teach us all three things at once. Shmam nakulu. We learn all points from the same pasuk. No gracing, no gifting, and no controlling. Tanya Namihachu, we find the same in a brisa, that in fact there's an issa to hand them control over the land in Eretz Yisrael. Lo Yisachanim teaches us, Lo Yisitin Lem Chanoya B'Karka. You can't give them control, you can't give them permanence in the land. Davar Acher, another point from the same pasuk, Lo Yisachanim, Lo Yisitin Lem Chen. You can't praise them. Davar Acher, a third halacha as well, Lo Yisachanim, Lo Yisitin Lem Matnas Chinam, no free gifts. Says the Gemara, this last point of gifting a goy is actually a machlekes tanaim, whether it's asur or mutar. Umatnas chinam gufa tanoi. This halacha is actually given to a machlekes tanaim, because according to one shita it's asur, according to the other tana it's mutar. The sanya, we have a brisa with respect to a nevela. So if a cow died, it's a carcass, it's not really edible for the yid. What do you do with it? Pasuk says, don't eat it. Right? Rather, you have two choices, two options. Either lager asher b'sharecha titnana v'achala. Either give it to a ger asher b'sharecha. Rashi explains it's not a regular ger. We're talking about a ger toishav, a guy who has committed to keeping the 7 mitzvahs of Bnei Noach. He could eat a nevela, right? That's not one of his 7 mitzvahs. And also there's a mitzvah to support him. Rashi says, mitzvah lach yosei d'chsiv, because by the ger toishav it says, v'chei imach. Allow him to live with you, meaning support him. Look after him financially. So give him the nevela for him to eat. Or sell it to a guy. That's also an option. It would seem like you have only these two options so far, right? You can choose to either gift it to a ger or sell it to a guy. What if I want to give it to a guy or sell it to a ger? Ainli ella leger ben asina. It would appear that you could only gift it for free to a ger. You can't sell it to him. You can't charge him for it. Or if you're choosing to give it to a guy, you must sell it. What about the reverse? What about if I want to sell it to a ger or give it to a guy? Can I do that? Leger b'mechira. Is that okay? Minayin. How do we know it's okay? Talmud lema, because the pasuk reads like that as well. The pasuk reads like one continuum. It starts with a reference to a ger, and then tells you the ger you can give it or sell. Stop. So both options can be applied to a ger, and then you can read it the other way. You can say give it or sell it to a guy, right? So both options can be attributed to either the ger or to the guy. Right? So the ger can either get it for free or you can sell it to him. What about if I want to gift it to the guy? What about giving it as a free gift to a guy? How do I know that's okay? Once again, we read it the other way. We take the two words in the middle of the pasuk, gifting and giving and selling, and we attribute it to the last part of the pasuk to the guy as well. So either you give it or you sell it to the guy. So both options are acceptable to both recipients. So in conclusion, we come out that echad ger v'echad avgecham, whether you're giving it to a ger or a guy, both vehicles are acceptable. Bein ben asina, bein ben mechira, whether you're giving it or gifting it or selling it, that's okay. So according to Rameir, clearly you can gift to a guy as well. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, you have to follow the exact instruction of the pasuk. Dvarim kiksavan. The words of the pasuk, the options provided are specific, are exact. You have either a choice of giving it to the ger as a gift, you can't sell it to him. Or, if you choose to sell it, it must be to a guy. And Tosfos asks, why would I have to lose money? Why would I have to give it to a ger toisha for free? So he says, because, look, to me it's not worth much. It's just an avela. It's worth $5. And to the ger, it's a meal, it's a week's worth of meat, right? So I can't charge him. Now, if I encounter a guy, if I have a customer, a guy, sure, I can sell it to him. But if I choose to give it to the ger, I have to give it to him as a matana. It's like, zenen of a zelech chaser. He's gaining, and I'm really not losing much. So Rabbi Yehuda works with the two options only. Dvarim kiksav leger benesina. If the ger is the recipient, it has to be for free. You choose to give it to a guy, it has to be sold. You can't give a free gift to a guy as per the Isser of Leisachanim. So Rabbi Yehuda is the one who holds of that Isser. Now, Shapir Ka'amar Rab Meir. It would appear like Rab Meir's position is pretty convincing. That both options are available to both recipients. Right? The fact that the pasuk structured it this way, putting the two options, gifting and selling, in the middle between the beginning of the pasuk which references the ger and the end of the pasuk which references the guy, apparently both options apply to both recipients. So all options are open, all choices are available. No, Rabbi Yehuda will respond by saying no. This option is specific to the ger, and this specific to the guy. Why? How do I know? Because if Rab Meir's position is correct, that you can just mix and match, then why would the pasuk insert the word oy in between both options? Right? It says give it or sell it. What's the oy? What's the oy all about? It's splitting it to tell you. At the first option, gifting is only to the ger in the beginning of the pasuk. The selling option only applies to the guy at the bottom half of the pasuk. Rabbi Yehuda responds by saying, if Rab Meir's approach is correct, then the pasuk will just leave out the word oy, which is that dividing element within the middle of the pasuk. Pasuk will just read as one continuum. Oy lamali. Why the word oy in between the two options? To split them, to divide them. Shmamina. We learn from here. Ledvarim kiksavnu da'asa. It's coming to tell you. You have to follow instructions as per. Right. So the giving option is specific to the ger, selling to the guy. Rab Meir. How does Rab Meir respond to this argument? What happened to the oy? Why is there an oy? To tell you to prioritize. Hahu, the point of the oy inserted right in the middle of the pasuk between the two options, lagdumi, to instruct us to be makdim, to prioritize, to prefer. You have a choice, right? Free gift to a ger or selling it to a guy. Lagdume nasina de ger l'mechir David kichavim. Better gift it for free to a ger, the mitzvah lachiyosei, to support him, over selling it to a guy. That's a preference. Rabbi Yehuda, he says, well, preference? It's self-understood. We don't need a pasuk for that. Why? Keeping the ger at the mitzvah lachiyosei, since we are commanded to support, to financially support a ger, which doesn't apply to a regular guy. No mitzvah to mechaya a Kanani guy. So then it's obvious, it's pashut. We don't need a pasuk to tell us to prioritize. Rather, the pasuk, the word oy, is coming to divide, to split the pasuk into two parts. Part A is the ger, who's getting it as a free gift only. Part B is the guy, who can only get it by way of a sale. So bottom line is, Rab Meir doesn't seem to hold of the Isser of Leisachanim. You can give a gift to a guy as well. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda does hold of that Isser. Okay, so again we have the pasuk Leisachanim, which covers all three Isurim. Lo yisitem lehem chaniya b'karka. You can give them ownership of the land in Eretz Yisrael. You can't praise or speak complimentarily about a guy on a personal level. You can speak about his actions, about his things that he did, but lest it come to idolizing or praising the actual person, his personality, mishabech, the person that's chen, you can't grace them. And thirdly, at least according to some, okay, continues the Gemara. Let's elaborate on the second interpretation of this pasuk. Tells us that another point. Means no grace. This supports Rav. One cannot declare, oh, look how nice looking this guy, whether the man or the woman. Or some switch it to a male form. In any case, you can't praise the looks of the guy. Here comes a kash. Masa, there was a story. But Rav Shimon Gamliel, he was standing on some sort of step on the Harabayas. He encountered this nice-looking Jewish, non-Jewish woman. Amar, he said, so he praised Hashem for creating such a nice thing. Apparently, it's okay to speak in this manner about a guy. Likewise, we have a story of Rabbi Akiva, who took note of the wife of the Rasha Turnus, and he reacted in a very interesting way. Rock, so he spat. Sachak, he chuckled, and he cried. Why? Why was he rock? Why did he spit? Because she comes from this lowly seed, this lowly droplet. Sachak, he chuckled, because in Ruach HaKodesh, he foresaw that she's his future wife. The Asida, the Megairish, is going to convert. V'nasal, and he's going to marry. Bacha, why did he cry? Shufar, because such a nice thing, Bali Bara, eventually will just rot in the ground after death. In any case, we see that these great men, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, would praise even a guy. Well, says the Gemara, it wasn't personal. The Rav. So Rav, who told us that it's forbidden, he explains that these tzaddikim were not praising the guy per se. They were just acknowledging to Hashem, praising Hashem for creating nice and pleasant things. We have a halacha, a known halacha. You do it even for a nice animal, a nice horse, right? Haroya briyos toivos. One sees nice creations, and the Taisus brings the Rishalmi. Even a gomel noah, a nice looking camel, a sus noah, a chamor noah, a nice horse, a nice donkey, right? So it's praising Hashem. It's not personal praise to the guy, right? Haroya briyos toivos. Omer, he says a bracha baruch shekacha bara ba'olami. Blessed is Hashem who created such nice things in this world. I was one time in a conversation with a fellow who was a driver years back, and he had the privilege of driving Rabbi Avodah Yosef, Zechat Tzadik Livrocha, when he came to visit the U.S. He was being driven around Flatbush, Brooklyn, visiting the the Sephardi communities, and one day his hosts wanted to give him a little vacation. They suggested that he be taken to Manhattan to see they asked him if he wants to go see these tall skyscrapers and be impressed by the architecture, and he said, okay, listen, the Gemara says that right, whatever the host tells you, kol ma sheyamil chabal habayis asay. So anyways, he went along. He says, why not? And they took him up to the so this fellow took him up to the top of the Empire State Building to look out, and he was standing next to him, and he was noting that Rabbi Avadia was constantly murmuring. He was saying, Psukim, Marabu Ma'asecha Hashem. And he says, look, wow, amazing Hashem, look what Hashem did. He gave wisdom, he gave chachma, he gave seichel in the minds of people, right? In the architecture, the builders, to put up such beautiful edifices, to design such impressive scrapers, right? He gave them the power, the talent, the wisdom to put up such impressive structures. So instead of being impressed by the structure itself and taking that in as a sort of in itself, he spiritualized it. He channeled it to Hashem, praising Hashem. Look how great Hashem is. Hashem gave, right? The chachma, the people. Look what they did with that chachma. So it was a spiritual acknowledgement. As the Gemara is telling us here, it's not praising the Goethe, whatever. It was utilizing it as an opportunity to praise Hashem's greatness, vastness. Baruch shevkacha bara ba'olami. Right, so it's a way to come closer to Hashem, and that's why it's permitted. So, in a way to capsulize this halacha of refraining from praising a guy, but yes, acknowledging the talent and whatever in a non-personal way. So basically, you could speak of a good act, a righteous act that a guy did, as long as it doesn't become personal, as long as you don't elaborate on it on a personal level. Rambam says the danger is that you might be drawn after the guy on a personal level. You idolize the guy and you praise the guy and his personality and his personal traits. You might be drawn after him and his ways, right? Which is of course something we want to avoid. So the point is, you can note a gracious thing that a guy did, or perhaps a certain accomplishment that a guy did, as long as you don't dwell on it. You're not mesaper b'shvachai. Right? You don't elaborate, you don't get into it. In which case it can veer into the personal, which that is the essence of the Isser, right? Praising the personality, praising the facial features, getting personal, that's which we're talking about here. Okay, in any case, on another note, we have a question here. These great men noticed nice-looking Geisha women. How is one allowed to gaze? How could a person paying attention to an Isha? One is meant to take extreme care to avoid taking note of these things and risking being drawn after them. One should not be gazing, paying attention to a nice-looking woman, even if she's unmarried. Likewise, he shouldn't be doing so regarding a married woman, even if she's ugly looking. Or nor should he be gazing at the colored garments of a woman. I think more later will tell us, we're speaking that he knows the woman, so it takes on that personal dimension, and again it might lead to improper reaction. So you shouldn't be doing that. Nor should he watch animals mating, chamor with a chamora, male with a female, swine, male and female, birds, when they're mating. Even if he's surrounded by all sides, like he's full of eyes in all directions, he's so tempted. Like the Malchamavis is full of eyes. It's just a metaphor, meaning even if it's coming in from all sides, one must take care to resist being drawn after these things. In fact, Amru Olav, Amal Chamavis. The following was related regarding the Malchamavis, the angel of death. That's what he looks like. He's full of eyes, because eyes are the conduits, right? That draws a person to all kinds of desires. Shekuloi Molei Naim, the Malchamavis. In a metaphoric way, he's like full of eyes. In fact, when the ill man is about to pass away, Oymid Mal Rashoisev, the Malchamavis positions himself above the head of the shoulders of the with his drawn sword, with a droplet of poison dripping from it. As soon as the ill man notices the Malchamavis, he's stricken with fright, and inadvertently opens his mouth, and the Malchamavis, who has that droplet dangling from his sword, drops it into his mouth. That causes him to die. That causes him to decompose. That causes his face to discolor. So in any case, how do we explain how these Tanoim, these great men, took note of these non-Jewish women? Answers the Gemara, it wasn't on purpose. Keren Zavis Havoy. It happened as they were sort of turning a corner. Inadvertently, they noticed they encountered these women, noticed them, and responded accordingly. One must refrain from gazing at these colored garments of a woman, if they're hanging on the wall, drying on the wall, or on the laundry line. It also poses a concern. Amra Papa was speaking specifically that he can identify their owners, so then it takes on that personal dimension. and there's a concern. Amarava dekanami, the wording of the Brisa indicates as such that it's not just some anonymous clothing, rather he knows its owners. The Brisa says v'lo b'bigdei tseva shel isha. Why does the Brisa have to add that word shel isha? It doesn't just say v'lo b'bigdei tziv'ainin, any colored garments, which obviously typically are colored garments are from a woman's garments. It doesn't say that. It says shel isha, to tell you shmamina, to teach us that it's only concern if in fact he's makir, the owner, if there's that personal side to it. It's only concern if these clothing has already been worn by this woman. So again, it takes on that personal dimension, because they were worn by somebody, and he noticed them on her, and now he's sort of attributing it back to the owner. But if they were brand new clothing, never worn by anybody, so it doesn't have that personal side to it, less but there's no concern. Because otherwise, how do we ever give our colored garments to a tailor to fix? Anan mana, us, meaning how do we go ahead, mana, garments, lashpuri, to this tailor who fixes new clothing? How are we going to give it to him? Hakamistakel. He's taking note of the clothing, that's asr. Well, says the Gemara, hold it. Then you can't do anything. Well, according to what you're saying, what about a farmer who's engaged in mating his animals as part of his job, right? Right? If we have the animals of the same species, in which case there's no concern about mixing different species, no concern of kalayim, so then we can actually assist in the mating process. Mutal lahachans, you can insert like a dropper, sheferis in a tube. Basically, we can engage in mating them. Hakamistakel. If he's involved, he's right there, right? He'd be mistakel. Ella. So apparently, even though he's noting it and he's gazing, it doesn't matter. But he's engaged in his business. In which case, he's not paying attention to silliness. Hachinami here as well. The cleaner, the tailor, but he's preoccupied with his profession. In which case, there's no concern about it triggering improper internal responses. Mamar. So back to the droplet of poison which the Malach HaMavis imparts on the person, Mimena Meis, that causes him to die. The name of Pligad Avodah Shmuel would appear at this description is not in line with Avodah Shmuel. The Amar Avodah Shmuel, Amar li Malach HaMavis. The Malach HaMavis once conversed with me and he told me, Eloi dechayashna, if I was not concerned about maintaining dignity, liikra, the honor, to protect the honor, the briyasa of the people, have a parana beis hashchita gebem, I would just tear open their neck like a behemoth and kill them like that. Apparently, it's more than just dropping in a drop of, right? It takes on more of a physical form. So I don't do it so drastically, but internally I disconnect, maybe spiritually I disconnect the vital, organs, not just dropping in, a droplet of poison. Says the Gemara, well, maybe it's one and the same process. Dilma, perhaps. Hayi tipa, that droplet, machat will siman, that detaches the simanim, the kana, the vesha, the esophagus, the trachea, meaning in a spiritual sense, it detaches him from his life force. So if not for cover that brias, I would do it more drastically in a more visible way, but now do it more discreetly. Now that same droplet that caused him to die, from that he decomposes. This supports Rabbi Chanina Kahana's statement. The Amr Chanina Kahana, Amr Rav, in the Spanish of Rav, they said, if one wants to mitigate the process of the decomposer process, he should overturn the mace flat on his face. This way, the effects of this process will not, which is rooted in the mouth area, will not, spread as quickly and be felt around him, were to be kept face up. Tana Rabbanan. So the pasuk warns, "V'nishmarta mikol davara." one must take care to guard himself from anything that's ra. The pasuk here is specifically speaking about those engaged in battle, where there's a concern about being tempted by averis, gilei arayis, so on and so forth. So one must take extreme care to avoid these types of pitfalls. Specifically says the Gemara, a person should avoid, repel improper thoughts during daytime, lest it come to generate a negative response, an impure response during nighttime. Can bring to carry to an emission. So based on this directive, says Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, look how extreme the Torah. Look how the Torah is so concerned. To this extreme, to this extent. A person could think, look, what's a thought? Big deal. In fact, the Gemara Bava Basra tells us it's impossible for a person to be spared throughout the day, to avoid any improper thoughts. They just prop up. The point is, yeah, they prop up, but you're meant to repel them, resist them. So lest the person think, well, what's the big deal? It's just a thought. It's not an act. From this drasha, from this pasuk, from this brisa, we learn the extent of care that a person is meant to take, and the amount of responsibility that's incumbent upon a person to commit himself to actually resist all these temptations to the nth degree. So in fact, Torah, the words of Torah, Rashi learns the school of Torah, right? The positive spiritual effects of learning Torah. V'oid, another point, says Rashi, the word Torah over here means, by learning the words of Torah, we see sheroya umeven. He understands, he appreciates the extent of how important is it, to what extent one is expected to take care, to avoid, to resist, to protect himself. Umeven ashore shabbat v'nishma, that leads him to be more careful. So based on this, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair tells us, look, Torah meviyah dezehirus, engaging in Torah, learning Torah, understanding the extent of our responsibilities, brings us to be more careful, right? It arouses awareness. It brings attentiveness. And once a person gets to that level, he's ready for higher. He's ready to be more meticulous and more energized in terms of doing good things as well, right? So taking care from avoiding negative stuff cleanses a person to the point now he's ready to be excited about good things. Maybe a day zrizas, to be energized and excited and motivated for good things. Once he achieves that level, zrizas, maybe a day nikis, it brings the person to the next level, to cleanse himself completely of any remnants of wrongdoing. Once he gets to that point, nikiyus, by the way, the whole Sefer Mesilas Yesharim is based on this brisa, level by level, right? Rung by rung, step by step. Nikiyus, maybe they're precious. Once a person achieves nikiyus, now he's ready for more precious. Limiting his interaction with physical experiences. That brings him to a higher level of holiness as well. Precious, once he achieves that level, maybe the tahara brings him to purity of mind, purity of heart. Everything he does is with pure intentions, of just wanting to connect to Hashem without any other ulterior motives. Once he achieves that level, tahara and VLD chasidus, now he's ready to go the extra mile, go beyond the call of duty, beyond what's expected of him, because he loves Hashem so much. Chasidus, once he gets to that point of chasidus, maybe now he's truly humble. He feels so connected and part of Hashem. He doesn't feel like his own entity. Doesn't have to promote himself, doesn't have to sell himself, doesn't have to impress people. He's totally humble because he's connected to Hashem, the true source of his life. And once it gets to that point, now we're talking high stuff. Now he trembles in fear from a chet. He feels the detriment. Just naturally, he has a natural reaction to chet. He's trembling. Yiras chet, once he achieves that point, that level, kedusha, now he gets kedusha, which is basically a gift from Hashem to complement his efforts. Kedusha, now he gets Ruach HaKodesh, you can see all around him. He's not limited by the physical dimensions of his limbs, he can see beyond what the normal eye can see. His mind is not limited by the physical, because he in effect became a spiritual person. Ruach HaKodesh, we can get to the point that he can revive dead. Now, what's the greatest of all these levels? Surprise. Says the Gemara, Chassidus is considered the highest ranking level. Hashem speaks in a vision to his Chassidim. So although Chassidus was not the last level on the ladder, but perhaps in terms of the person's own investment, maybe Chassidus is the highest. Then he gets Siyata D'Shmaya. Hashem allows him to go higher and higher, but first you have to push yourself all the way to Chassidus, which perhaps is the most difficult of all. Upliga Rabbi Shimon Levi, but this appears to be in disagreement, because Rabbi Shimon Levi said something else. Rabbi Shimon Levi, Anava Gdel Mekula, on the highest level of achievement is Anava. Shenema Ruach Hashem Lakim Allah Yan Mashach Oisi Levaser. Yishai is saying that Hashem is transmitting through him this message of redemption, Levaser Anovim, to treat the humble to this good news. Apparently they're considered the highest and the best. Chasidim le'nemer, rather than refer to them as Chasidim, El Anovim, the humble. Alamata, we learn from Mishnah, Anava Gdel Mikulon, the highest level of achievement is considered Anava. Okay, should all be Zeicha. So back to the Mishnah, which is actually the first interpretation of Leisachanim. Right? It's based on that pasuk, Leisachanim. Don't allow them chaniya b'karka. Don't give them permanence, ownership, control of the land. What about selling them a tree? Tanu Rabbanan, Moichem lahen ilan. You could sell him a tree if he plans on cutting it down. Amanas lakuts, b'koitzitz, okay? On condition that he'll chop it off tomorrow, and he does it. Divrei Rabbi, that's Rabbi the Shita. We're not concerned that it might just drag on, and it might linger, and he might end up controlling the property. No. The deal was to cut it. We assume he's going to chop it off very soon after. Rami no, we're concerned that it might drag on, in which case it's a concern of chanoya b'karka, giving him control and ownership on the land. You can only sell to him once it's been chopped. That's one case. Here comes the next case. Shachas. What about undeveloped animal feed? Rashi says it's tfuas chitim. It's regular grain, but still in its green stage, and typically it's harvested in this early stage and used for animal feed. Question: can I sell that to the guy if he plans on harvesting it, tomorrow? Yeah. Shachas almanas ligzais, on condition that he's going to chop it off the guys and he harvests it tomorrow. No, once again, we're concerned that it might not happen. He might not harvest it and it might just stay there, and he might own the property. You can only sell it to him once it's been harvested. Third case is, what about ordinary grain, ready to be cut? Come, amnas liktzak, and sell him grain ready to be harvested on condition that he harvests it. No. Again, the same concern. You can only sell it to him once it's been harvested. Now, why all three cases? What's the point of repeating this halacha over and over again? Tzricha, they're all needed because each one has its own lesson, its own chiddush. If we only discuss the case of the tree, I would think, over here Meir says, it might just linger. Since he's not losing by leaving it in the ground, a tree in the ground is not spoiling. So perhaps it's a concern that he might just leave it there. In which case, you're giving him ownership in the karka. But in the case of the grain, which is ready to be harvested, by leaving it in the ground any further, it's gonna get ruined, get spoiled in the ground. So perhaps over there, there's no concern. Perhaps Rabbi would agree to Rabbi Yehuda. There's no risk involved because he's certainly going to harvest it. No, that's why we cite this case as well. You never know; he might just leave it there, and there's a concern. Now, if we only leave it at these two cases, so perhaps Rabbi Yehuda, in this case, is not concerned because even if he would leave it in the ground they don't, improve in a noticeable fashion. A tree in the ground, I mean, how much does it grow? The grain, which is already ready for harvesting, is not really benefiting much from being in the ground. Aval shachas, the idea but shachas, the animal feed, look, by leaving it in the ground, it's going to grow another couple of inches. It's all gain. So, perhaps in this case, would be the agrees to a mayor. There's a very real risk that he might just leave it there to gain a little bit. So that's why we have to cite that case as well. No, he made a deal, he's going to keep it. On the other hand, if we only cite this case of the shachas, I would think, Rameir says there's a real risk that he might just leave it there to let it grow a little bit more. But in the case of the tree or the mature grain, perhaps he would agree to Rabbi Yehuda that if the condition was to harvest it or to chop it, there's no concern of lingering. That's why we say all three cases, to teach us in all three cases, despite their variables and factors, the same exact machlekes applies in all three cases, whether it's a tree, whether it's shachas, whether it's the grain ready for harvesting. Rabbi Yehuda says, no problem. And Rameir says, even though the condition was to chop, to harvest, you never know, it might linger, and then you're risking the isser of loisachane. One more question. What about an animal, which typically you don't sell to a guy? What if he conditioned? He made a tanai. I'm selling it to you on condition that you slaughter it soon after. So there's no concern about doing malacha, and nobody's going to see it in the guy's care, and there's no concern of confusion, of creating, impressions that you can sell working animals to the guy because it's meant for slaughter. It's like sold a meat. The question was posed like this: Behema. What if you sell him the animal on condition that he shechts it? Can you do that or not? Sometime in my Shar Rabbi Yehuda, perhaps only in those previous mentioned cases, the case of the tree, the case of the grain, it's only there. Rabbi Yehuda allows you to sell it to the guy to lav b'shusei kaimi because it's not in his possession. Very difficult for him to linger and to let them stay in the ground because the owner's not going to let it happen. Look, the trees are my property. You want it, chop it off and go. You can't leave it here. No free parking, right? So the concern is mitigated. Aval behema. But when I sold him an animal, I'm not in control. I gave it to him. Sure, he promised to slaughter it tomorrow, but he might change his mind. What am I going to do? I'm not in control anymore, right? Since it's sitting in the possession of the guy, the customer, mashila, he can very well decide to hang on to it, to wait another year. In the meantime, he's going to work with it. In the meantime, people will see it in his possession. And that could come to undermine the whole ban of selling work animals to a guy. On the other hand, you can say, no, there's no difference between this case or the previous cases. The fact is, the deal was on condition that you shechted, and assumingly, he'll keep his word. Tashma, here's a raya, from a brais. Guess what? The same achlekes between Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda applies to this case as well. Yeah, Divrei Rabbi Yehuda holds you can sell him the animal, knowing that he's going to shecht it soon after. Rameir no, once again, he might linger. You can sell it to him if it's already slaughtered, but if it's still alive, you cannot. Okay, so we pretty much started and ended the daf on the same note. So it's all based on the pasuk loisachane, which teaches us three things. Don't allow them governance, ownership, permanence in the land in Eretz Yisrael. Not only the land itself, but even something which is mechuber, something attached to the ground, like a tree. Right? What if he bought it in order to chop it off? So we have a machlekes on that. Rameir says we don't trust him. Rabbi Yehuda says, let's assume he'll do it. And that applies to a tree, to the animal feed, or to the grain ready to be harvested, or to an animal for shchit. Second point that we learn from Loisachanam is Loisitenam matnas chinam, right? And that's actually machlekes Tanoi. And the third point is Don't speak in a way which draws you to them, which idolizes them, which praises them, lest you be drawn after them on a personal level and be tempted to emulate their ways. We do have exceptions. We find the Tanaim who praised, but the praise was attributed to Hashem, who created such beautiful things. As Taisus points out, it can apply to even a nice horse, a nice donkey. So it's rather than being a personal acknowledgement, it was mutter because it was a spiritual acknowledgement. Baruch shekacha le'ba'olamim, which took us to the next topic of v'nishmartam kol davar ra. A person must take extreme care to avoid any negative triggers. The Gemara gives us some examples. Mistakel on isha no, or even she's muchu eres, big tseva shel isha, the animals that are mating, unless there's a heter avidete tarid. And as Rav Pinchas ben Yair points out, this highlights the sensitivity of the Torah to these things, to maintain one's purity, which will eventually, Be'ez Hashem, lead him to higher madregas, from Torah to Zehirus, to Zrizis, to Nekiyus, to Precious, to Tahara, to Chasidus, to Anava, to Yerschei, to Kedusha, to Ruach HaKodesh, to Tchias HaMeisim. Amen. Ken Yiratzeh.